Hey everyone, it's Lexi. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you the top 5 books that I read this spring. So kind of the format of this video is that I'm going to kind of go through each month all the books I read, and at the end I'll talk about my top 5. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So starting out in March, we first have Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Cain, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. The Huntress by Kate Quinn, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. Year 1 by Nora Roberts, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Ambush by Barbara Nicholas, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. Crown, the Official Companion Volume 1, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. And Killman Creek by Rachel Cain, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Moving on to April, I first read Her Final Breath by Robert Dugoni, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Every Note Played by Lisa Genova, which I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. In the Clearing by Robert Dugoni, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Trap Girl by Robert Dugoni, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Close to Home by Robert Dugoni, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And The Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. Moving on to May, I first read A Steep Price by Robert Dugoni, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. The Academy by Robert Dugoni, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Third Watch by Robert Dugoni, which I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. The Hogwarts Guide, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. The Short Stories of Hogwarts for Heroism, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. The Short Stories for Hogwarts About Power, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Morrigan by Mary E. Pearson, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. And Wolfhunter River by Rachel Cain, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Alrighty, so moving on with my top 5 of the season, in no particular order, I first have Ambush by Barbara Nicholas, and this is the third book in the Sydney Parnell series, so I can't really talk too much about the plot in here, basically, but the general premise of it is it follows Sydney, who is an ex-Marine who worked overseas in Afghanistan, and now she's come back as a detective, and it kind of takes off from there. But what is unique about this is that it does a really good job at talking about the complexities of PTSD, and her sidekick is a canine companion named Clyde, which is also really fun. But I really love this series. The book is so fast-paced, and this one like literally goes off like this. It was so quick. I flew through this book really quickly. It did not struggle from any pacing issues, and there was just so much character development in here, and like there was a big plot twist that was amazing. So the first 2 books are building up to this one. Like there's an overarching storyline in the first 2, and this one kind of deals with everything kind of reaching the boiling point. But I really love Sydney as a character. She's amazing, and I love Clyde, her like little canine companion. But yeah, if you're looking for like a thriller crime series, I highly recommend you check this one out. It is so good. Like I've given all 3 books 5 out of 5 stars. That's how good they are. So this is probably one of my most anticipated books of 2019, and it was The Huntress by Kate Quinn. And this is a historical fiction novel that follows this person who is known as the Huntress, who was this very notorious woman who was a Nazi, who's known for killing like women and children in cold blood. And so kind of after the war, she ended up escaping and did not face trial, but then there is this one couple that's trying to find her, and she was responsible for his brother's death, so he's kind of trying to figure out. So he teams up with a Russian fighter pilot, and so this is all happening in Europe. And then overseas in Boston, in the US, there's this girl whose father is marrying this mysterious woman, and there's something off about her. I'll kind of leave the synopsis there, but basically this one I was so invested in. The author did such an amazing job of interweaving all of the different storylines, and just like kind of being able to like really feel for these characters. I was so connected to the characters in this book, and then also the Alice Network as well, which was one of the first book of hers that I read. That's probably one of my favorites ever. But yeah, like I said, I was so connected to this story. I was really invested, and if you really love historical fiction, I highly recommend you check it out. Like the last like 100 pages were so intense. It was just so good. This is one that I got for Christmas from my cousin, and it was Year 1 by Nora Roberts. And I know like I've read a couple of Nora Roberts books, and then like my aunts and my cousins have as well. So I got this one for Christmas, but this one is a little different than what I normally read. So basically there is an apocalypse that is kind of going about the world, where 2/3 of the population have wiped out within a matter of weeks, and the only people that are left that are immune to this are those who have magic in them, essentially. So people are finding out that they have these magic abilities, but you can imagine the world is turned into anarchy and it kind of takes off from there. But I really like this. I really love Nora Roberts' magic system in here, and this one is kind of connected to her other books that deal with kind of like witches and all that. But I think it's best to go into this not knowing too much. Like, I didn't know where this one was going in terms of just plot or even kind of what it generally was about. And I think that's the best way to going into this. It's very different. I very much strayed from my norm with reading this, but I was very pleasantly surprised and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, if you're looking for something a little different, like, check this one out. Like, you probably will really like it. Next, I have Kilman Creek by Rachel Cain, and this is the second book in the Stillhouse Lake series. So basically, because this, like, again, with that I had with Ambush, this is the second book, so I can't really talk too much about the plot, but basically it follows this woman who found out that her husband was a notorious serial killer, and this created this whole backlash where people thought she was somehow involved with it, but she was completely, like, oblivious to everything, and she was exonerated in court. But that did not stop people from thinking that she still was somehow involved with these deaths, and so it kind of takes off from there, and this causes, like, there's this whole internet of, like, stalkers basically trying to find her and her kids, and it kind of takes off from there. But I really struggled with the first one, at least for the first 50 pages or so, because it did struggle with a lot of pacing issues, and just it takes a while for the plot to get going. But this, like, the last, like, I want to say the last half of Stillhouse Lake was really what drew me in, and this one was probably my favorite. It's a series does get better after the first one, but that kind of fast-paced, like, on the edge of your toes kind of feeling that you get reading the second half of Stillhouse Lake is, like, this entire book here. Like, I really loved it. The only complaint that I did have with this is that I did not really like the kids this time around. In the first one I really liked the kids, but this time I didn't. And then also with Wolfhunter River, I didn't really like the kids again as well. But yeah, I think this one was really fun. If you like Criminal Minds, I think this is, like, a really good series for you to maybe pick up, because it kind of does remind me where it's just, like, really dark and creepy. But yeah, definitely, if you are into that stuff, like, definitely pick this one up. And lastly, you could tell from all the books that I read that I was marathoning through the Tracy Crosswhite series by Robert Dugoni, and so my favorite out of the ones that I read was Close to Home. And basically this follows a homicide detective named Tracy in Seattle, and she ends up becoming a homicide detective because when she was younger her sister was abducted and murdered. And that's kind of the general background of this, and I won't spoil too much about the plot, but I really love the character development and, like, what's going on in Tracy's life in this one. I really liked it, and it was so cute, and I really loved it. I really loved marathoning through this series, so now I'm all caught up with, like, all the books now that are currently published, so I'm very, very happy about that. But yeah, I really love this. Tracy's such a unique character too, just with her past, and I think that makes her more vulnerable, and she thinks more with the victims, which I really like. She's not too cold with the victims as you kind of see with some of the crime novels. But yeah, I definitely really enjoyed this series, and this one was my favorite out of all of them. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, or what were your favorite books that you read this season. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.